Hey guys, Andy N, spoken label, Easter Sunday. Yeah, everyone else is sat there eating Easter eggs all day. What am I doing? Well, I'll be eating Easter eggs later on, but it's podcasting duty first today. We're over to a wonderful part of the world today, South Africa. And kudos to my great friend Alta Heffen. She has referred over to me, a friend of hers, to talk about her not debut novel, certainly a fiction debut novel. And the lady's name was Arini. And Arini, how does I pronounce your surname again? I'm so sorry.
It's Arini Vlotman.
That's it, right? Okay. I'm going to make this a swearing podcast already. I'm not going to make a twat of myself today. So I'm going to be very careful what I say today. So, okay, Arini. First of all, because obviously we're here to talk about your debut fiction novel, Pretty Average, but we'll come on to that shortly. Now, before we do that, tell us basically, where did all your creativity come from, first of all, then?
I've always been a reader, so reading has always been something that I've actively been involved in for as long as I remember. And I know that sounds really cliche, but it's age that has made me a writer. As I've gotten older, and you just live through certain things, and there's certain experiences that you have. Getting older gave me the confidence to be a creative writer. And I just decided, I woke up on my birthday last year and I said, okay, I'm going to write this book and I'm going to publish it before I turn 40. And I published it on the 19th of March, 2 months before I turned 40.
Oh, I did something very similar actually to you because I was like, I'm probably going to horrify you now. So I'm nearly 52, right? And I did my first, but I decided when I got to 39, I was going to do my first poetry book. I've been writing, bits and pieces for years. And I thought to myself, right, Andy, you need to do this now. Even if you never do another book again, it needs to be done until we get to that stage. And I did it. And well, a number of books later, I'm still writing them. But so how do you actually, when you decided that morning and when you were going to start this novel, Pretty Average, did you have the characters in your head, or was it just, did you sit down and just almost do it from scratch?
I had nothing. I had
Wow.
absolutely
Wow.
nothing. I literally woke up. We had friends
Mm.
over. We had a braai. Everybody went home, and I was sitting alone. And I was like, okay, if I had to start, where would I start? I love romance. Romance is always something that I've enjoyed because of the guaranteed happily ever after. So I am fluffy, warm and fluffy that way. So I knew, okay, my end was going to be a happily ever after. And I just started writing. I probably wrote about 5,000 words. And for the first time, I realized when writers say that, the characters just evolve and um, the development and the scenes just evolved. It was literally one of that. I had zero plans, zero plot. I am in corporate, so I use that world. I live in Johannesburg, so I use the scenes around me, the restaurants that I know, and yeah, it just started. A lot of the twists and the plot twists surprised me because I didn't see it coming. But I firmly believe that it was just that right time. My mind was in a good space. I was feeling good about myself and I was feeling good about my confidence in creativity. So it started from nothing.
Good. I think it's a crunch point for any writers, that really, because what you've done there is like, I think, say, for example, you tried writing the book, say, 5 years before. I think you've got to be emotionally ready as well as physically able to do the book. And you probably you got into a groove quite quick, didn't you, really, because you were ready for it. So, yeah, okay. We better go into doing to talk about the book then, hadn't we? First of all, then, where did the title Pretty Average come from?
So it is. I didn't have the title until probably the last end part
Oh,
of the
did you?
book, like the
Oh, wow.
last line.
Oh, wow.
And it was I reread it just as I was ending it. So I wrote it in 30 days and I was reading the last part of it. And I thought to myself, oh, there's a theme here. There's a theme. This character, Isha, who's the female main character, goes through a little bit of a growth arc, and her ex-boyfriend calls her average. And that's her identity. She refers to herself as average. My professional space, I'm a a coach as well. So I firmly believe in trying to help people break out of their identities, the labels that they've given themselves. And I was like, oh, wouldn't this be a nice little key in the lock just to tie everything up? And that's how it happened. It literally, I wrote it in one of the lines, and when I reread it, that pretty average stood out, and it just tied up the theme of the book completely.
Brilliant. I know I think you've done the right thing there with that because it's come naturally the cycle to you. I think whenever we're going to come on to you what you've got coming next later on because I know there is other possible books in mind, but we'll come on to that in a bit. But I bought my first novel out last year, and I knew what the title was before I even started the book. So it's like, sometimes it goes that way, doesn't it? Like it's, sometimes almost from the beginning where everything's going, and that's brilliant. Now we have to ask, obviously, about the main character then, and you're gonna have to help me out with the pronunciation of it because I can't get my mouthful right in this either. Is it Aisha Moore? Is it Isha Moore? Is that the name of the main character? Yeah. Okay.
Isha Moore.
Isha Moore then. Okay. Tell us about Isha Moore then and how she developed and over this 30 days you wrote the book then.
So Isha wakes up and she turns 35. Another theme is birthdays, obviously, you can tell from my journey. She wakes up at 35 and she goes out with her friends and she talks herself into an existential crisis. Her life is not where she wants it to be. It's not where she thought it would be, not where she planned for it to be. She has a few drinks and she's hungover, and that is everybody thinks that the main instigator of the story is the meet cute because it's a romance, but it's actually when she has that moment and she thinks to herself, is this my life? If I kick the bucket at 70 years old, I'm technically in my midlife. What have I done? And she talks herself into a midlife crisis, which I think is something a lot of us experience.
Definite.
I especially am. So yeah, that's what gets her, motivates her to change and figure things out.
Brilliant. Yeah, no, you've said it right because people read the book, they will see you've done the classic thing to start it off with the characters at rock bottom. And then it's like you look at what do they want and how they're going to get it. Yeah, and it flows really well. And that the first part of the book, it feels naturalistic. And I've never been to the area that you're writing in, but it came alive really, really well. And I thought it was great. Really, really enjoyed it. So now, obviously, then she meets Kane Mitchell. Now, I have to ask you then, is Kane based on anybody you know?
No, he isn't. Oh my gosh. I wish he was. Isn't
I'll get you divorced if not careful here, won't we?
a little bit of his characteristics are modeled around my husband because he'd be like walking in here, the other male in my life, but he doesn't know that. But Kane is actually one of the is an Indian. There's an Indian actor that I really, really enjoy, a Bollywood actor, and I kind of tweaked Kane around the way
Hang
this
on.
character
Don't say
was
much more at the moment
modeled.
because this is a future question I'm going to ask you in a bit. So we'll avoid that topic then, right? So, but yeah, like it was when you got going with the book then, obviously, did you know who the characters were almost from the beginning, or did they just come into the book naturally? That makes sense.
Isha, I had a very good idea about who she was going to be and who she starts off as. She's very naive. She's a bit whiny in the beginning. Kane, the male character, threw me off. I did not know whether he was going to be easygoing or he was going to be like this deep hidden character, and it turns out that he was deep and hidden. He had a lot of secrets going on, but yeah, he came out quite naturally. Isha, I had planned out. I'd envisioned her from when I started writing, and the other characters kind of just hopped along for the ride.
Yeah, whether as I would say, whether they liked it or not, right? Yeah. No, definitely. That's no brilliant stuff. It's like I said, if people say it's a great book, it's well worth your time. This now, I know obviously, I think it's prior to this book anyway. You've done a non-fiction book as well, haven't you? Called The
I have.
Art of Adulting. It's a great title of book, this Managing and Maneuvering Life in Your 30s. Now, we have to look at things, obviously, like, because I've done non-fiction books, I've done poetry, I've done novels, not fiction. But how did the journey with Pretty Average compare with this book?
Sure. In many ways, it was easier because I was creating from a space of imagination. So the other book, The Art of Adulting, was a lot of research. I had to go back to the different generations, but that book was easier because I was speaking directly from experience. So when I wrote that book, I was in my 30s. I had my family, my circle, all going through the same things as me, and my outcome for that book was just for other people to feel that they are not alone. They're going through the same things. We all are. Just it's okay to speak about it. Pretty Average was easier to write but more difficult as well, because I had to create everything from scratch, or I felt like I was creating everything from scratch. Two completely different journeys, but both exceptionally big learning curves for me. Very, very big learning curves.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Like I said, with you writing in multi-genres, and this I mentioned learning about as well, is like you find, don't you, like everything you write in a big project like that, you learn something from it. Have you found that with looking back at these two books now?
I did, and I've realized, and somebody else mentioned this to me, is that age is obviously something that affects me quite a bit, because that's the relation, age and generations, between both books. I didn't realize it until after I wrote Pretty Average and somebody mentioned it to me. You think it would be obvious, but there's, they say there's a little bit of you in the book that you write. And I think what I wanted the most out of both books, especially, was for people to read it and feel okay about themselves. Whether you're reading a fictional romance set in like another part of the world, or you're reading about somebody else's real life experiences, at the end of the day, that's really what I wanted people to feel something, and feel something good, positive.
Yeah, you definitely have with this book. Like I said I've not read your non-fiction book, to be honest, because I've this is how I sometimes leave things short with the research. I knew about that yesterday. So, but yeah, I've read the bits I've seen of it. Yeah, it's very, you can tell with both books it is you, but there's different ways you're looking at it, I think, with both the books. And yeah, and I think that's a great thing, really, honestly, when you're doing writing anyway, because it's, you learn from it and you move on, don't you? Like you've said
Mm.
already, like it's, you've learned from both of these books. And I know already that you've got at least one, or is it two, possible more non-fiction, or no, they're not non-fiction, two more, at least one, maybe two fiction books lined up, haven't you? So,
Yes, I do.
you
Well
see,
done on that
yeah,
research.
see, yeah, okay. I don't know much about these because, like I said, you were very, you were very shy in the interview I read about this. So, is there anything you can reveal about these books? Then?
So I did. So I've got two books planned after this. It's going to be two standalones, and it's part of the series. So it's the same world as Pretty Average. It's set here in South Africa. We've got beautiful locations. So we've got like city landscapes, and then you can drive an hour out, and you'll be in the bush surrounded by mountains,
Wow,
and
wow.
then a little bit further, and you can be on the coast. So I've got that scenery, and each book has a theme, centered around labels, and as a female, the things that we kind of go through. I've realized that like writing a fast paced, little bit of well, I wouldn't call it like a cozy mystery kind of vibes. So with book two and book three, same world, different romances, all standalones, all fast paced, a little bit of South Africa and the different scenes that we have here, scenery descriptors.
Yeah, I think you've done the right thing with this because they always say you write what you know. And like my first novel was set in an area I grew up in South Manchester, and it, you can make it come alive, even if the characters are fictional, because you're letting the area come to life, and that's fact, that's non-fiction, but it's what's going on with the characters that's fiction. And that's why it's good writing you do that, because I thought the book came alive really well, and I loved the intro of it because like it felt I felt like it was you, even though you obviously wasn't you, being absolutely getting drunk the night before and having a midlife crisis with that, definitely. So, so no, it really was good fun. Now, I want to learn next about this.
Mhm.
Okay, yes, we'll go on to that next question. And I made you stop before then, because the book for me had a very, very cinematic quality about the book, and it really did. Okay, who would be your dream actors to play the main couple of cards? I stopped
Oh,
you before because I knew you obviously had somebody in mind, and I thought straight away with it.
oh, I love that question because when I wrote them, the male character especially. So I don't know if you've ever watched any Bollywood movies, but
Bits.
um, they are super dramatic. Like it's usually like 3 hours long, and each scene is filled with color and it comes alive. But the male character in this book, Kane, I fashioned after a Bollywood actor. His name is Hrithik Roshan. And when I was younger, I used to crush on him continuously. Now he's gotten older and he's even better. The characters
Oh
that he
God,
are amazing.
you would get on great with my wife, but my wife absolutely loves the actor Kiefer Sutherland, who most famous for being in The Lost Boys, and she loves him even more now than she did back when he was a young man like that.
I love it. I'm like, okay, that is a sign of my maturity.
Yeah, similar. My man is like a few years older than you, so that's why I said you get that sort of thing. You could tell people sometimes, and yeah, no, brilliant. And
The female character, I don't actually know who she looks like, or who she would be. I
okay,
I need to go watch it.
Let's say yourself then, right? Then you can be in the scenes of your actor, then, can't you?
Oh, that would be my dream come true. Oh, I am trying to think of the. So Isha is a female Indian character in South Africa, and I would want her to look la. Oh, this is such a tough one. Um, there's an actress called Priti Zinta. She's also an Indian actress, but she is has the characteristics. She's lively and she's energetic, and she's not your typical actress that you would find, but she's got a lot more personality. Her personality just screams at you when you watch one of her movies. You you become invested in her face and her mannerism. I think
Yeah,
that's who I'd go for.
I'm just looking at pictures of her. Yeah, she's got it's very expressionate eyes straight away. Yeah. Then, like, yeah, I can
Yep.
see her. I can see her with the actor dog. When this is how you do your clever editing. And when looking, reading up with him, reading up with her, yeah, I can see them together in that definitely. Right, anybody from
Oh,
Hollywood
I
or
love
Bollywood,
it.
please get in touch. A nice big budget, and that will get this film on the air definitely. So
Oh, I
now
love it.
back to yourself, and obviously, have you done any readings for this book yet, or do you have any readings in mind?
I haven't yet. There's been a distributor here in South Africa. I haven't actually put this out there yet. So you're the first one to find out,
Oh,
Adi. There's a distributor. I've published with a US publisher, small press, and there is a distributor and a publicist who has bought the South African rights to distribute it here, and she is setting up an author reading for me in Johannesburg. So my first reading will be here in front of
oh,
South Africans in one of the main scenes in the book. So I'm going to be doing that.
oh,
I haven't done
wow,
it.
wow.
Oh, I'm nervous to do it.
Oh wow! No, that's it's. I think it's amazing. Like if you're asking me a first major reading anyway, but like to go and do it in a place where it's actually set. Yeah, that's even more daunting because I've been on my novel like mine's set in partly in a big bookshop in the area, and I'm terrified they're going to get in contact with me saying, "Oh, we love your book. Can you come and do a reading for us in this bookshop?" And I'm thinking, so I feel like you will be that definitely.
If with some of experience, you can give me some tips on readings. Please give me some tips.
Oh, well, my tips would be is breathe. Always when you breathe, you're doing readings to audiences, breathe. Take your time with it, breathe, because it's like a lot of it is when it's delivery. It doesn't matter what the content's like. If you are good enough to do it like that and make the words sound like they come alive, that's all you need to do. take your time with it. And
Okay.
are you going to do a questions and answer session afterwards then, or is it just going straight reading?
No, there's going to be question and answers. The readership really want to see to chat to the author and find out what's going on. That I think I'm a little bit okay with. Hopefully, my reading doesn't bomb, and they will be interested in asking me the
Oh,
question.
you'll be fine. You'll be fine, right? All I say to you is, obviously, we've been Muslim. I don't know if you drink or not, but if you drink, have a drink afterwards.
Not before.
Not before, not before. I've done readings before now when I've gone on stage and I've been, should we say, a little tipsy, right? Bad mistake, right? So
I will.
I
I'll
don't drink
keep my gin
nowadays.
tonic for after.
Yes, wait. I mean, better wait till you get home, then you can have it and then go to bed and then collapse.
Perfect. Perfect ending to the day.
Do you have seriously on books 2 and 3? Then, do you have any sort of ideas when these will be coming out? So I'm guessing you've not started them yet, have you?
Book two, I've started. I'm almost done writing it. I've got just the last scene to write, probably about 5,000 words left. So that should the editing process. I'm going to submit it probably mid-May. It will hopefully come out in the end of this year, end of 2024, or maybe beginning of 2025, and then book three definitely mid 2025.
Brilliant. So good luck with it straight away with that. Now, on book 2, I don't want to go into too much on it, but have you found this has proved to be a very different book to book number 1 so far?
It has. It has. It's been a lot more difficult because I always say this to people is you don't know what you don't know until you know it.
Yeah.
And I did not realize how intimidating it was writing a book to market. So as in all the expectations and the way you need, especially romances. Romances have very the target audience, romance readers know what they want and they want to see it. And if they don't see it, they get very angry. I'm a romance reader. So I was a lot more intimidated when I wrote book one, pretty average. I was just writing, right? But now that I know a lot more about what I didn't know, it has been longer, but it has the learning curve has been harder, but it has been quite different because the characters are very different. So they're in different spaces, they're learning different things. The romance element is still there, but I've got a little bit more serious with book two, a little bit more intensity, less humor. Pretty average. I try to add a lot of humor to
Yeah, and
it.
it works
So
really well. It does work. I've said that 3 times. It does works really well. Your humor. So
that's my husband. My husband is the one with the sense of humor. So he injected every time I needed something. But there's a lot more intensity in book two.
brilliant. Out of interest, then, obviously, and this is just me being fanciful here. Do you see any of the characters from book 1 or 2 coming into book 3, for example, or future books? Could they be crossovers?
I actually love that. I didn't when I read it, I like it it really pulled me in when I read characters and descriptions from different novels. So I've pulled in the main characters, Isha and Kane, from Pretty Average into book two, and Roberto, the chef, the chef that the Italian chef, he's in book two. So that restaurant in Pretty Average is a scene in book two, and I've had so much of fun because now there's been a timeline change, right? So they've gone through a whole lot of things, and you can still read it without not knowing anything about Pretty Average. But if you do, there's just a few little Easter eggs that just are very interesting to see when you see how book one ends compared to book two. So I've had so much of fun writing that in. I think that has been the most fun for me.
I think that's the best thing sometimes when you're looking back on it, when you're doing, like I said, you want to bring in your characters from the book, it's because it's the same world. Don't mean whether they have to have major parts in it, just little things you can look out for, can't you? I think that works really well because it's like you're keeping the book separate, but it's like they call it Easter eggs, don't they, in films? Like
Yeah.
if you watch out, you can see them sneaking in and out. So, no, brilliant. Good luck with it, definitely as that. So, well, that is pretty all my questions, to be honest with you today. So, what we'll do is we'll let you do the hard sell first of all, then, okay? So, do you have a date when this reading's happening, first of all?
Oh, I don't have a date
Right, that's
yet.
fine. Well, let me know, okay? Let me know, okay? That way, this podcast won't be ready before is coming out after that. I'll jiggle schedules for you, okay? But
Oh,
where
thank you.
can people get hold of your book first of all?
Okay, so Pretty Average is available on Amazon. It's in the UK and it is in the US. It is also on Take-A-Lot in South Africa and Africa itself. You can also order Take-A-Lot in Australia. And then in South Africa itself, I'm going to be selling hard copies. And I'm also going to be doing signings as well. I'm so excited about that. So
Oh,
books.
keep off the wine because you'd end up signing another name in it altogether just to confuse people.
Carry a bottle of wine with me
Oh,
everywhere.
I mean, I'll turn you an alcoholic if we're not careful here today, definitely. But good luck with it. Keep us informed how you go, okay? And when book number 2 is ready for end of the year into next year, let me know, okay? Love to have you on again. We've had a good laugh today. I've really enjoyed this.
It's been so easy. You are amazing.
I said to you, I know what I'm doing. No, as my wife says, it's my charm and good looks that you pull it off. So, right, thank you
You hit
today
the nail.
anyway. Thank you today. It's been a pleasure. So hang around because we do need to talk off mic briefly anyway, okay? Well, thank you today, my friend. Okay, loved it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Right. Anyway, guys and girls, yeah, that's it for another day from Spoken Label. As Don Callis over at AWS says, stay safe. More importantly, stay over. And we'll see you all next